So thanks to the new intro for Season 4, we finally have subtle confirmation on the new characters and arcs that will round out the second half of this season, not to mention a brief look at Dad Bod All Might. Yeah, he did not deserve this. I'm going to give a quick breakdown on the new confirmed characters that we've not seen before in the anime, and give a non-spoiler overview of something that was easy to miss from the outro. But before we begin, thank you guys so much for getting the channel to 30k. I said that we might be able to do it by the end of January, and we've done it with a week to spare, so I really appreciate it, guys. Okay, so before the season began, it was widely assumed that it would end with the cultural festival arc from the manga, and this was largely because the overhaul arc was the longest in My Hero Academia history, and we expected it to take up the majority of the season. I remember some people on Twitter even saying that it might take up the entire season, which that was just crazy. But what we've confirmed today is that the series will actually end with the Pro Hero arc, which serves as the introduction to the greatest of all time, Hawks. Okay, that was probably an exaggeration. I feel like Hawks is so popular that even if you've never even read the manga or even touched it, you'll still know who he is. But for those of you who don't, Hawks is the fastest character in My Hero Academia and is a professional hero ranked directly behind Endeavor and All Might. As you would expect, I explained this character in more detail in my Hawks Explained video, which you can check out after this one, but to cut a long story short, he has a really interesting backstory and was essentially sponsored from a young age to become a hero by the government. And as a result of this training, he was the youngest person ever to break into the top 10 heroes, and has the expertise that many other heroes don't have. For example, his negotiation tactics, as well as mastering the art of infiltration and sending coded messages. This was very subtly referenced in the outro, where we see this image of a young Hawks being blindfolded and chaperoned by some guy in a suit, presumably training his senses and also his quirk. Hawks is one of the more interesting characters in this series because while he is morally questionable sometimes, I'm sure most people who've read the manga would agree that at the core of his actions he has good intentions. So he's not a black and white character by any means. And his quirk is also one of the most deadly in this series, as he can control each individual feather with telekinesis, and some of them are actually strong enough to be used as feather swords. But like I said, I explained the many other aspects of his quirk in my other video, which I'll link to in the description. Now, Hawks' appearance this season was essentially confirmed by two shots from the new opening, one of which is just too spoilery to post in this video, but it essentially confirmed an iconic shot from the Pro Hero arc, and the other shot is this one here, which, while I'm sure it probably was from the manga, I had a quick skim through it this morning and I couldn't find it. But regardless of that, Hawks will be appearing this season, and I love the way that this has been handled, as he was foreshadowed earlier on in the season when Tokoyami was offered the internship, and that was a scene created specifically for the anime, so kudos to the studio for thinking ahead. It means that when Hawks does show up, it won't really be out of the blue, as many people would have already known of him from that scene earlier on in the season. Hawks does already have a Japanese voice actor, as the Heroes Rising movie, which came out in December last year, featured Hawks prominently, or at least to an extent. I haven't actually seen it yet myself. But as far as the English dub, there's been no official confirmation on who will play Hawks, but it's got to come within like the next month or so, not just because of the anime, but also because Heroes Rising is coming out on the 26th of February, I believe. And while Hawks was the main character that I was excited to see confirmed, we also got a few other crumbs of information. For example, we got to see Mirko, who's another character making her debut in the Pro Hero arc, and she's actually ranked in the top 5 heroes. Her quirk is called Rabbit, which essentially lets her do anything a rabbit can do, which is not too dissimilar from Froppy. And it also means that she never really has to do leg day, as her tree trunk legs are pretty solid regardless. And as I mentioned earlier, we had something foreshadowed in the outro that you could have easily missed. We see a flashback of young Aizawa and present Mike at UA, and alongside them is their childhood best friend, Shirakumo. The foreshadowing here is going to be crazy in like 2 or 3 seasons, as this ties into both the Vigilantes manga and just some crazy things that are going to happen in the main series. But with that said, before we can even meet Hawks and get into the Pro Hero arc, we do have to get through the cultural festival, which began in the episode today. And I'll admit, it's not my favorite arc in My Hero Academia, I don't even think it's close, but I can't deny that Gentle Criminal, who is the main villain, is an incredibly well written character with a pretty awesome quirk as well, and I think I'll likely do a video explaining him sometime soon. One last thing before I go. This wasn't actually the video I was planning to release this weekend, as you can imagine, as the info only came out this morning. So because of that, I'm going to have a new video coming out tomorrow that I already made, so keep an eye out for that, as I'll be explaining the first volume of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, which for those of you that don't know, is a prequel to My Hero Academia, and it shows off a bunch of characters that you already know, including Aizawa, Fat Gum, All Might, and Ingenium, and it introduces some new characters as well. So yeah, be sure to keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.